Perfect. We are live. Andrew, thank you for joining. Appreciate you.
Anytime, man. Thanks for having me, Tyler.
Let's go. So, I want everyone to know Andrew is the head director at Dobson Ranch Golf Club here in the Valley, Phoenix, Arizona. They are one of my favorite golf courses. They've done so much for everything, including the golf creator space, and just providing a great place for people to practice and play. So, but I'd love to have you introduce yourself as well and get into your background and what got you into it. So, appreciate you.
Yeah, for sure, man. No, thanks for the kind words, man. Honestly, I've been with Dobson Ranch and Greater Scale Paradigm Golf Group now for a little over 6 years. I started with the company when we were awarded the contract from the city of Mesa. So a lot of people kind of have missed nowadays that like Dobson Ranch is still like a true municipal golf course. So city of Mesa, they own the dirt. They're amazing partners. They basically have us to operate the entire property. So maintenance is our employees, golf shop, food and beverage, everything kind of in between falls under our purview, which is super great. So we were just very excited to have the opportunity to take a municipal golf course and turn it into what I think they were originally intended to be, which is really just a hub for people to come out, enjoy golf. I'm sure we'll get into the offerings and stuff that we have and all the improvements over the years. But yeah, man, super great. How I landed here, very roundabout, kind of a roller coaster story. But if you guys haven't seen me on any of Tyler's things before, basically went to San Diego State. Was there originally just to get a degree, wanted to be a firefighter. My entire family, everybody did that or worked in hospitals. And then very quickly after I worked on an ambulance for a while, realized that was not the path that I was suited for. So, kind of at like 21, 22 years old, hit this wall of like, I don't actually know what I'm going to do. Um, just kind of took back whatever job I had in front of me and with a new perspective that like, hey, if I'm going to do this, let's do it with 100%. And so really fortunate to have some guys that brought me back into the fold at their little ice cream sandwich shop down on the beach. And they just continued to teach me. So I learned how to hire, train, do all sorts of those things that come with like running a small business. And they kept giving me leash and kept feeding me info and couldn't have been more thankful for it. And so when this opportunity came up, they basically, the owners of Paradigm Golf Group basically said, we've seen what you can do in a business setting and we can teach you the golf stuff. So what do you say? You want to move out to Arizona? And I did. So left the sunny beach with high of 75 every day in June to move to Arizona. So not the brightest timing, but you got to do what you got to do.
Wow. Yeah, it's super inspiring. Do you have any hard numbers or stats on like what Dobson was like? I mean, I know like not
Yeah.
quantitatively, but qualitatively, like, how much is blown up on everybody's social media. It's like the place to go to, especially if you're a creator and even just a regular person. But what do you know? Yeah, like where has it started when you joined versus under your leadership now where it's at, like stats wise, if you have any?
Yeah, for sure. I think one of the coolest ones, and Dobson had always been like a very busy golf course. But we saw this place used to do between like 60 and 70,000 rounds of golf between like their 9 holes, 18 holes, twilight, all that stuff. We, for the last couple of years, have done consistently like 85, 90,000 rounds. So definitely seen a significant bump. And again, we were fortunate in the timing where obviously golf as a whole has just exploded. People have found their way back to the game. People have realized it's not just for old nerds and stuff like that. Like it's become a way more appealing thing. And I think there's a lot of aspects that we can like thank for that for bringing the younger crowd and finding ways to lower those barriers of entry for just the game of golf. A cool one though that I like to talk about is that Dobson used to have 7 minute intervals. So like their tee times were 7 minutes apart. So 8 o'clock, 8:07, 8:14. And to date, we have increased it to 9 minute intervals. I think when we first got here, we went straight to 8 minutes. It helps a lot. It's funny to think about 1 minute, but if next time you're on a tee box or you're at a stoplight, start a stopwatch and actually see how long a minute truly is, because it makes a huge difference in the golf world. And I think that netted out to about 40 or 50 rounds of golf per day that we could do less. And even going from 7 to 8 and then 8 to 9, again, losing that inventory, we've continued to see rounds go up. Um, I think a lot of that is just getting creative and finding good offerings to use those like early morning tee times. I mean, we've been super blessed that our superintendent is very amicable to that. He'll let us send people at first light, where a lot of times golf courses may not start until 8 a.m., even though the sun's up. And same thing, we'll let people go 20 or 30 minutes before sundown, and we have an awesome sunset program that, again, we get loads of couples and loads of families and people bringing their kids out, because for $9 to $14 they could go play 2 or 3 holes, and it's still an amazing value, and it gets the kids or the family or the new golfer in your life that on-course experience that's usually really intimidating to go pay like 3 digits out here in the valley. So again, just getting creative in how we use those kinds of things. Yeah, so that's the golf side. Man, the range side is a beast of its own, and I know you've seen it, Tyler. I don't. I wish I was more prepared with like stats. So we got Top Tracer a couple years ago and have since switched to InRange. In fact, I just had a call with them. So here's a cool mini version of the stat from this October to last October. The amount of balls that we hit about 150 to 200,000 more balls, period, on the driving range. And the actual adoption of people using the InRange technology to get their shots tracked and play virtual golf and games and all that stuff went from like mid 30s to 40% last October to 59.9. So you're almost at 60%. So 60% of all the balls hit was in some session on the InRange system, and we know we can go even bigger with that. So super cool.
Dang. And they cool, but I like what you said too on the golf side, where it's like you've managed to make more money with a 2 minute gap, with that difference.
Yeah.
Because it's amazing, especially on the golf course industry. Word of mouth is everything. Dude. Are you familiar with Angel Park back in Las Vegas? Up in Las Vegas? Okay.
Yeah, when Jed was there, he was kind enough to have me go out and sit and talk with him for a little bit. I think he's moved on to another golf course there. There was some ownership change, but yeah, I've been to Angel. It's beautiful.
It's grew up as home course growing up, where I learned to play golf, everything. Yeah. But it was only where we practiced. Like, we never really played there because my dad was like, yeah, it's, the club, the tee times are so close together. It's like so hard it's a 5-hour round. And so I didn't realize, even playing golf, that the 2-minute thing is such a big difference. Dude, but
totally,
less rounds can make more money because the word of mouth is higher, and then you can charge more. And
exactly.
Then, yeah. Wow.
Well, and honestly, we did it too. Like, there's a little bit of this unseen cost, because so when I started, obviously the first 3 or 4 years of me, getting my feet under me in the golf business was at the 8-minute interval. And like, at a place that does that many rounds, 8 minutes is still pretty darn fast. I think a lot of golf courses will do 10 minutes. They'll do 10 minutes expecting to do some squeeze times and stuff, but still 10 minutes. You shouldn't have to work that hard to manage pace of play at that gap. And so what we really noticed is we could have continued 8 minutes. Like, we did fine. Like, from, like you said, Dobson used to be like 5-6 hour Dobson. I still get people all the time that bring it up here, with as many things as we've worked to improve. The logical person in me would say, like, dude, I've never seen something more than 5 hours since I've been at Dobson. But you get into the semantics of, when do they start their watch? Are they counting like shoes off, trunk slam in? Like, that's when they're stopping their watch. We go, they leave the first tee to they leave the 18th green is what we're timing. So for the sake of the talk, but the really big thing that kind of motivated us to switch to 9 minutes was honestly just burnout on the team. Like, to come in every day and to have it as busy as it is, and to have a staff that's kind of as lean as we have it. Like, you would go home like feeling like you just ran a marathon. Like, they say that the brain burns the most calories in the body. Like, you feel it, man. There was some days that I just sat in my truck in the parking lot before I drove home to get my head right. And so we actually made that decision knowing that, hey, it may be a year or two of like very little growth, because we didn't want to go bigger tee times and then charge a huge jump. But we did that so that the team we had, and we could keep good people, and we could give them the space to really give that level of service to eventually warrant like, hey, a bit more of a premium price tag, which, again, I think this is the first year we'll be charging like the public just booking in the normal 14-day window over $100 a season. But residents will still pay under $80. County residents still under $100. So even there, like you look at a lot of other places and you golf plenty, pretty much 3 digits in seasons kind of the standard, unless you're a course with no grass, or some of those real hidden gems that are out there.
Right. Right. No, that's so how many rounds a day does that actually equate to? You do them like
Oh,
typically on
don't
average.
someone out there might check my math. If it's
Okay.
90,000 rounds, we're open every day, so 365 days a year. I want to say it's either 250 or 275 a day. Like that's the average.
That's insane because you have to think about the
Yeah.
starter doing the classic greeting. What's up, guys? How you doing? The typical,
Yeah,
and you're like,
for
you don't
sure.
think about the how repetitive that get. He bet that man's heard everything under the sun.
Dude,
So
you want to talk about like shifts that make the day go by fast? It's hands down the fastest thing I've ever done. It's be a starter. You got to think you're talking to groups what feels like nonstop, but they're going 9 minutes apart. So it's like I talk to 6 groups and boom, there's my first hour done.
that's crazy. Yeah, it is. It does go by. I worked two
Yeah.
days at Arizona Biltmore. I was trying to like let's free golf
Yeah.
whatever. Dude,
Yeah.
I quit after 2 days. I couldn't do it. I couldn't stand in
Dude,
the just being the cashier like because I was like I wanted to move
for
more,
sure.
do more. So at least the
Yeah.
starter position or like just even being managing a team like you're moving, you're strategically thinking. So
Yeah.
'cause it's hard if you're just like if you're just like it can eventually. I don't think AI will replace you know
No.
people like that. Like I don't
You,
know.
what's wild is it's funny because to see AI and even just technology in general like creeping into the golf space, and you have to remember like we've said it for years that golf is historically an industry that moves at like a snail's pace anyways. Like our company long before me, it was like we were the cutting edge because we were using email and people were still like putting ads out in the newspaper and like all sorts of stuff like that. But to see now some of the larger like golf tech companies and stuff playing off of this whole AI wave, like that's kind of their pitch is like, hey, wouldn't you love to save on like staff and not have to have them check in and they'll check in mobile from the parking lot and this and that. And then we're probably one of the few that is like, that's the one area that I don't want because like we don't call our staff in the shop like you were probably just a pro shop attendant. It's probably the title they gave you. Like we we tell everyone like they're a sales and service specialist, right? So like regardless of what they're there for, to come by and just ask what it costs. I'm new to the area to try the driving range, to go out and play. There's a level of like setting expectations and being clear and concise with everybody to make sure that, hey, back to your word of mouth point, people don't sue the doctor they love. That's a thing that really stuck out from like my medical days. And so if we have people with the right understanding of like how to go through those conversations, hey, you know what? There's going to be days that pace sucks. There just will be. Golfers going to be golfing. There's going to be days where the weather's bad, or there's going to be days where something comes up. And so just to have those faces there, eager to jump to help those customers and walk through it and do whatever it takes to make it right, like you lose all of that when you completely automate, like, hey, pull in the parking lot, your phone goes off. Oh yeah, pay from the car. Oh, add on a bucket, go straight to the range, get to the first tee. And then you show up and you've got a starter who's like 20 minutes behind on the tee and you're jumping down that guy's throat. But all those other touch points are so important to us in like giving that level.
I think too they can only get that way because I can 100% vouch everyone I've met at Dobson, the workers, the cart people, the pros, like everyone's just super cool, cordial, friendly, like dap up, like just super cool.
Yeah.
And I think that is a reflection of leadership.
Good.
And on the leadership side, how did you learn how to manage and grow and build up that team? Was it something that came pretty natural to you, or did you just get thrown in the deep end yourself and you slowly figured it out along the way?
Yeah, I would say even still, it's like everything. There's going to be peaks and there's going to be valleys for sure. I think the start of it, and funny enough, I think I started down that leadership journey at my previous job, the one I referenced earlier, the ice cream sandwich place, because I did a lot of inward thinking when I had that, we'll call it a quarter life crisis, where here I was 20 something. I remember sitting in fraternity chapter meetings saying, I don't care if I get kicked out of school or we get kicked off campus because I'm just here in case I want to be a chief someday, but I can go be a firefighter without a 4-year degree. Like I was on that end of the spectrum with like an attitude and where I thought my life was going to go. And so my first stint at the Baked Bear, I was that like minimum wage, minimum effort type of employee. I might have shared this with you before, but like I would be like hungover or just tired or rushing through the day to go out and hang out with friends. I mean, we were literally on the beach. It was such a hard place to keep people motivated that like I would do anything, side work, whatever. And I say all of that because when I came back and these guys gave me another shot, I realized like, yo, I was that person. Like now I have a team of people that I'm supposed to figure out how to motivate, and I was them. Like 1 year ago, I was the person doing it for drinking money. I was the person doing it, juggling a second job, juggling school, like the spectrum, right? So figuring out, hey, how do I get them to want to show up and bake cookies and scoop ice cream all day? That was like my first real step. And so I probably got it from a book or somebody smarter than me. But when I started to look at it from a point of like, hey, Tyler, we're going to bring you on the team, you know, what are you studying, and finding out all of that stuff. So I knew where they wanted to go. Like no one was going to make that a career in my mind. So to be able to know, hey, you want to be a salesperson, you want to go and do customer success at a big business, or you want to be a marketing person or whatever, basically finding the little pieces of that job and now all the jobs at Dobson, so that, you know, hey, if you want to be a salesperson, you're going to have to learn how to, you know, take customer complaints. You're going to have to learn how to put on a smiling face even when maybe you don't want to. And we had hundreds of people that walk through the doors, same at Dobson, hundreds of people a day that walk through. So let's work on being highly motivated, dialed in all the time, because if you leave here and you've learned that skill, your autopilot is to be interested in the people that are coming by and to look at them with the appreciation of like, hey, they're putting food on all of our table. You're going to be that much better in the sales world. You're going to be that much better in whatever realm they're going into. And so when I kind of set it up and somebody set that up for me, it really made it a lot easier. You got a lot more of that buy-in, and then you had to figure out the accountability piece. And so that was probably the first big step, and where I find myself still when we have valleys or we have seasons at Dobson where maybe, you know, our customer service isn't quite there, or we all get really busy and things falter. A lot of times it comes back to that. The direction and the motivation of people is they're just going through the motions. They don't really know what to do or why they're doing it. And so bringing that why back into the fold and kind of checking back in like, hey, have your goals changed? Have your outside life changed? Like, how can we make sure this is all still the right match? It's very much an active thing for sure.
How do you balance when it comes to that? How do you balance being the boss that people want to work for and being the boss that is effective, sense of urgency, let's keep the boat forward? I struggle with this sometimes. I'll want to be Michael Scott and have fun, and culture's awesome.
Yeah.
But sometimes you got to lay it down and say, hey, no, what the heck?
Yeah.
No, move forward. So how do you personally balance that? Are you, I know it's not a binary, it's a continuum, but
Sure.
where do you kind of fit in that?
Yeah, it's dude, it's tough, man. For me, I think the safe place for me is to stay away from the Michael Scott-ish. And when I'm at my worst as a leader, it's probably because I'm so focused on like their employees, their coworkers, like I can't be friends with them because of when that line blurs, it becomes pretty gray. But when I do the best is when I start to embrace that. And I think somebody in my shoes, it might be the other way, where if you're naturally that easygoing, outgoing, you know, figuring out how do you push yourself to get to the other side and that level of accountability. So I would say the accountability is not something I feel like I struggle with. In fact, it's probably too easy. And a lot of that comes from me. I was the guy that I did the best when a coach would give me the cut and dry, here's the facts, here's how you do better. And so to your point, getting to understand that with everybody. So not only did I start to add in, hey, you know, what are you studying? What are you doing? What are your goals? How can we line it up so we could be a stepping stone to your future? The second question that's super big is a lot of people have played sports nowadays. I think because we're a sport kind of leisure activity, we attract a lot of athletes. So if they played sports, I'll actually ask them like, hey, tell me about the coaches you hated and tell me about the coaches you loved, and try and just make a mental note of, okay, Tyler is in the camp where he's highly capable, doesn't, when he's being told what to do, he feels micromanaged. He needs some more of those high fives, pats on the back, so he knows he's doing the right thing. So that's Tyler's reinforcement, where, Bob over here might be like, get out of my face with that rah, stuff. I just want to know, what do you want? How do you want it done? How fast? And then get out of my way. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I honestly think, and it's more work on leaders for sure to do it this way, but you save yourself a lot. Cause I'll also say that most recently, I'm learning that I can't lead everybody. Like, because of my natural abilities and inabilities and stuff like that, there are some of those people that I shouldn't lead. I need to find other leaders who can cater to them better, because I'll sit down and I'll just go through, hey man, like, here's what you've done great. Here's where you could do better. All that makes sense. And they're just defeated. And like, if I can't turn that off, I need to find somebody to balance me out. That's been a big one for me. Probably the most present is figuring out other people who can help lead in my absence and lead the people that I really just can't lead without a lot of effort.
When you're doing everything and managing and running this business, I mean, it's a massive operation, and you guys are just getting started, in my opinion. So, how do you like? Who was your? Did you have one mentor? Was it, you know, like, people above you met in person? Was it watching a bunch of Hormozi videos? Because I know we both related on that.
Yeah,
Like, what
totally.
kind of where was your north? Like, how did you learn everything, or was it just pure through just action, actually doing it?
Yeah, for sure. Fortunately, it was not 100% grit and just doing it. I did absolutely. Our owner and the CEO, Joe Dahlstrom, he's here too. He's local to Arizona. He's sitting on the other side of this wall, probably, unless he's out putting on a phone call. So yeah, he was the one who initially offered the opportunity, and I came out. And I've probably shared it before. He's also my father-in-law. So I did get the job before I was married. So there's a hint of nepotism, but not completely. But basically, that was how the conversation went. They would come visit us when we were in school, my wife and I. And he's like, dude, I would just sit there at Bake Bear and just watch how you gave direction to the team, kind of like a coach, like not pull them aside and talk to them a lot, but just like, hey, can you go do this? Hey, can you go do this? I got this. Jump in with customers. And so through watching that, he said, hey, we have an opportunity that is big enough that it would be worth it for you guys to move out here, and we'll teach you the golf, kind of like I mentioned before. And so in taking that jump, and even before, he was probably the first person to give me like a personal development book that I actually read all the way through. It was John Maxwell, and it was few communicate, or everyone communicates, few connect. And so even before I worked here, he had been giving me some of those nuggets, and we would talk about it when they visit. I would obviously hear a lot about the other properties they had and what they did differently in the golf space than not. And I was like, it's kind of what ended up with me being interested in it. So having him here to lean on has been a huge one. Both, he was already teaching me all the golf things. He's run these plays for years, and, totally cool. And he was also like, I was very fortunate in that he gave me a lot of leash to go out and try my own new things through watching Hormozi or watching Gary Vee or watching whatever other people are in the entrepreneurial space in other industries. Like, we are not shy. In fact, we really like to take things from other industries and figure out, how can we use this to our advantage? How can we be potentially disruptive? And that's how we ended up adopting Top Tracer and now InRange so early on. And I would still say, like, it's far from being a widely used thing, like finding tech enabled driving ranges that are run properly, in our opinion, or maxed out or used well. And so for me, that's where I really have my sights set, is figuring out how to take that type of business and really take it to the moon.
On a personal level, how do you
Yeah.
want to be remembered?
Hmm. I think I just want to be remembered as someone who just kept putting people up, right? Like helping people get to the next rung of the ladder. And I've kind of used that illustration in the workspace, right? As a leader, trying to, hire and promote other people, I think. And I don't know what other jobs you had before you started your own businesses, but I try to always paint this picture of like, hey, this is not what you see in movies or like typical corporations or whatever you might find, like where it's totally natural to, the only way to the top is to pull everyone else down with you or whatever. So the picture I try to paint there with our team is, hey, you know, as you go up, reach down and bring the next guy because somebody's inevitably reaching down and helping you up. And then from like the impact on the community, I think just putting people up because like golf has enough judgment in it, right? Like golf is already really freaking hard. People are super nervous to go pick up a club and swing and look funny, and it's embarrassing, and you feel exposed. It's expensive. It's a huge time commitment. Like there's all these things that go against golf. And it sounds really cliche, but everybody has picked up over the last few years like this grow the game kind of mantra where like tactically for me and I think for us as a whole, I just want to be remembered as someone who put the most golf clubs in people's hands, whether that's on our putt putt course, whether it's, you know, having rental clubs that we don't charge for the driving range, whether it's, you know, all the free junior clinics that we've been able to do through the junior charity that we started and stuff like that. Yeah, like it goes back to, I don't know if I ever shared this story, but part of our pitch when we were trying to get the city to pick us, you know, 6 or 7 years ago was literally like, hey, no municipal golf course really delivers on, or I shouldn't say no, not many deliver on the idea of like what they're supposed to be. They're supposed to be the same as the park that's on the corner in your neighborhood. Like it's a public facility, it's public asset that's meant for like recreational use for people. So we want people that will just walk over with their family, mom, dad, kids, whoever wants to can putt while everyone else hangs out. It's why we have lawn games, the thing that throws the hatchet and it sticks. You know, we've got all of it because we really do like people can walk through here, hang out for an hour or two, do some work, and go home and never spend a dime. But that's what it should be like. So yeah, however you want to distill that, that's kind of what I want to be remembered for.
No, I love that. It's I love getting deep and more philosophical
Yeah.
about it because you know, as a Christian, religious or not, we're on a floating rock in the middle of space. You know, what's the goal? Why are we doing what we do? Right? We get caught up in the day to day, the money, politics, food,
Totally.
whatever, in the minutia. But it's like, what's the big picture? Um,
Hmm.
where do you see your future going? Do you think you are more of a visionary type and maybe more of an operator type? What do you see right now being your future besides growing the business? What
Hmm.
does it look like for Andrew long term? Long term, if you have some sort of idea around that.
Yeah, you know, it's an interesting timing of the question because you know, thankfully you brought it up, so we'll go there. But same thing, man. Walking through Christianity more and more, especially since I moved here, right? Like, grew up in a Catholic school, went to Catholic church, went to a public high school, and I was like, all right, mom, did my time, I'm out. But like, you know, prayed, did all those things, and so really found my way back to the church, you know, because my wife is the best. And she continued even throughout college and all that and would invite me. And I would say, no, it's like a concert. I don't want to go. So I was one of those. And in the last 6 years, really leaned in. I don't know what came over me. And I was just like, hey, you're going with your family? Cool. I'll go. And um, started to like get more involved, figure out serving, you know, get into community, like all of that stuff. And so, very much so, I would say in the last year and a half, that question of like, what does the future look like has been weighing on me a lot. And where I'm at right now is like, I don't really know. I just want to be obedient. I want to continue to follow whatever sort of feelings get put on me. And I think that sounds like way probably out there for a lot of entrepreneurial people, but obviously you touched it. I want to grow the business. I very much subscribe to, you know, Zig Ziglar said it all the time too. Like money is not bad. Money makes so many things better, makes you able to do so many things. If you go back and look, it's the love of money or the lust of money is the root of all evil, not money itself. And so having that mindset around it where it's like, hey, if I go out there and treat people the way they deserve to be treated, if I deliver and do my part in delivering on, you know, making this golf course and this whole facility open to as many people as possible, like you never know what the person across the counter is going through. You never know what the guy in the really slow group that 99% of golf courses would roll up and be like, hey Tyler, you're behind, everyone hates you, you need to get faster. You know what I'm saying? Like they would usually hit you with that. And we try to come from a place of compassion, like, hey, hopefully we've already introduced ourselves. Second, it's how can we actually help those people? Because maybe they were bumming and having a bad day. And so that act of compassion, like still help them get back into position, still do all the things a business has to do to be successful, but do it in such a different way to be set apart. Um, I've kind of lost my train of thought of where I'm going, but like all of that stuff has been what's most forefront for me. Is it's like it's been very top of mind that like I just need to do the simple things, do them often, do them regularly, take the reminders if I have people on my team reminding me, remind everybody else. I think that's why the accountability piece comes so well, is because when accountability is paired with something like a vision and a great reason, that you don't need to be scared of it, right? If it's accountability because you're trying to be a jerk, completely different. If you're accountability because you're dogging on somebody, also not nice. You mentioned the Hormozis earlier, and it really is that like state the facts, tell the truth. Like leave the emotional pieces of feedback and training your team and trying to lift them up out of it. You don't need to tell someone they're lazy or they're slow or they're dumb. You can just say, hey, we need to do this many things in this time frame, and you're short of that. How can we help you get better? And then actually mean it, and then actually help them, right? I think those are all the things that get lost. So to bring it back to your original question, I don't know what it looks like. I don't know if it's more properties where we can bring this blueprint and make an impact in whatever the community. I think to find the scale of success that Dobson had is probably like a needle in a haystack. I mean, we're near Phoenix. There's millions of people. It's a pretty good breeding ground. Like we got almost unlimited at bats when it comes to people and golfers we could try to like sell and turn into customers. But yeah, we have Sierra Vista that's a 40,000 person town, and while there, it's much more of a slow build. Just to see the impact there, their one or two high schools can come out and we're their home course, and they can be welcome, and their families are getting into golf because we're able to treat their kids so well at practice, and we have the free junior programs there, and it's a city or a town that's like starving for recreational stuff. They have amazing hikes, they have all sorts of outdoorsy things, but they don't have a lot of like actual rec for family to go do. So who knows, maybe it's more of those, maybe it's more of both. I'm just trying to make sure that everyone I'm responsible for or feel responsible for is just getting the correct direction.
I why do you think golf? Like, why golf? What do you think is the reason golf's blown up over the years, even for your own business, for Dobson, for everyone? But compared to football, everything. I mean, I know it's anybody can play it. You can
Mm-hmm.
all you need is a stick of balls or whatever. Like, it's not like anybody in the hood can't just go buy a brand new set of clubs, but
Right.
but you can play it till you're like
Second swing,
70.
man.
Right? Yeah, second swing. Go to second swing. But what is it you think about the game itself that you love and that you think that's connected so many people together? Is it
Yeah.
just 4 hours of uninterrupted bro time or girl time? Like, what do you think it is specifically?
It's such a tough question to answer because I think it's, to use Alex's words itself, I think it's 100 golden BBs, not so much a silver bullet, right? I think it starts with there is no refuting how much Top Golf and that when it came onto the scene a couple years before the pandemic, like how much of a splash it made. Where I think if you went back then and you asked anyone that played golf on the golf course, like what is a golfer, dude, there was no question it is someone that plays 9 or 18 holes of golf, on the golf course. Like that's it, you have to do that in order to be a golfer. Then I think we've seen this kind of expansion and this broadening of, things like Top Golf took a normal driving range practice session, which is cheaper and shorter, and they merged it with entertainment. And so then you built multiple stories up. And so we talk about 300 rounds a day is a wild day. We can do 300 people on a driving range that's one story and 40 bays pretty easy. So now 4 or 5 stories high, open all day. You don't need it to be sunny out. You can do it under the lights. I think we've had a lot of people just broaden their definition of what a golfer is. And at the same time, it's become a great funnel. We can use marketing lingo, right? Like it's the perfect funnel for golf because I meet so many people. And, one example that sticks out, someone was filming a commercial at Dobson, some product, and they had, former athletes that came out, and like the guy literally saw our driving range and was like, "This is the coolest thing ever, man! Like this is like a Top Golf where you don't get made fun of for bringing your own clubs." And in talking to him, he got started at a Top Golf, and he's like, "I don't really go anymore. Like I love golf. Golfing is with my boys is it. Like that's my favorite." But Top Golf will always have a special place in his heart. It'll always be where he takes his family, where people are going to think to take their kids, or some kind of golf entertainment thing. Where before it was golf course or nothing. And so I think you've got Pop Stroke and the putting labs and all those places coming onto the scene. I might have shared it with you before, but I think it was like 2022. We were at the Top Tracer Award thing at the PGA show, and it was the first year that it had been reported off course activities happened more than on course. So like that was the best illustration, and I think it's continued probably to grow in that direction. From the like pure athletic side, the monsters that we see come out for these high school and college tournaments that we have, dude, these would have been like blue chip picks to go be a lineman in the South. You know what I mean? Like, but it's an individual sport. You can make your own way easier on your body in a lot of ways than your traditional sports like baseball and football and stuff like that. So you're seeing a lot of people with like high ceilings from a pure athletic side going out and trying golf, which they never used to do, right? It used to be like, oh, couldn't play any other sport, so you're playing golf in high school, or those kids were kind of the nerds or whatever you want to call them. Where now you're seeing, multi-sport kids that are bailing on other stuff for golf because they've got such an opportunity to make it.
It's funny how it became cool too. Like in high school,
right?
It's not cool to be a golfer.
Exactly.
I was like, whatever, you get picked on, and then college, it was like, oh shit, this guy plays golf. Like, that's cool.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy.
Exactly.
How it was post Tiger too.
Because you were right in the middle of, when did you graduate high school?
2019.
Yeah, so you were right in the flip. You lived it if you played high school golf. It was like, oh, there's Tyler, the golf kid. And then college, it was like, yo, Tyler, you're the golfer. I need someone on my scramble team. It's crazy. Come on out, bro.
Some respect on the name, finally. It was.
Yeah.
It was. No, that's it. So to kind of round it off, coming back to you, what do you think from a personal self-awareness perspective is your biggest weakness and your biggest strength? And this could be in business, this could be in life, it doesn't matter. Just first thing that comes to mind, weakness and strength.
Yeah, I think for me it's the same thing in a roundabout way. It's like expectations and effort, right? Like I think when I like take an interest in something, I will obsess almost to a fault about it, right? Like this whole game of entrepreneurship and business, like the cool thing is it's an infant game. I'm never going to stop learning about it and playing it. And I think I found my match that way. But as a kid, it was a Rubik's Cube until I could do it in under a minute. And then it was, picked up some obscure sport like paintball and play that at the highest level you can possibly play. And then every time I hit one of those decent milestones, I was like, all right, what's next? And a lot of that comes from so I learned what effort it took from no knowledge to above average knowledge or, bordering mastering something. But the reason that's a weakness is because I just think other people innately have it, right? Like I'm constantly reminding myself that I can't want it more than that person. I can't want to improve the golf experience more than that customer wants it to be improved. I can't help a person on our team grow if I want it more than they actually want it. And so it's understanding that. And then back to the faith piece, I've had to find a lot of peace in it because of grace and mercy. I think when I was younger, I would be bitter and I would be like, well, if you're not going to want it as bad as me, I'll find someone that will. And I don't want to live a life where I've got all that turnover. I want to meet people where they are. And so it's setting those expectations, understanding where people are at when we interview with them or bring them on board, or even just checking in, because people are allowed to change their minds. Someone who thought, hey, this is a college job, I just want to cruise and then I want to go get, a finance job out of school. We've had some of them that have been like, hey, I don't think I want to do finance. I want to do this as long as I can with you guys or with someone else. And great. And try to meet them and lean into that. And we've had the opposite where people were like, dude, I'm in, make me the guy. I'll show up. I'll take the salary. I'll work 80 hours a week. I'll do it. and then they get a month in and they're like, that was way more than I thought it was. Can I go back to like hourly and just work in the shop and just make some commission? And so it's been a lot of growth in the last year or two of not holding that against people.
Got it. I love that. Yeah. I mean, it's cool to see, like, once again, how far you've come. On the
Yeah.
business side or on the strength side, though, what does that look like?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. I think the strength in it is that I'm willing to just keep working. Like I know that I'm just going to keep playing. I think I've had the perspective shift that it's not about winning every day. It's just about playing every day. If I continue to show up to Dobson, or I continue to show up for our leaders at the other golf courses, like, we're going to stay open. We're going to stay in business one more day, you know, just keep putting one foot in front of the other, and, you know, we'll be here. We'll make an impact one way or another. It might be slow, might be fast, but just to not worry about the rest, but knowing that wanting it can be enough as long as you're doing it.
what when you're let's say staring at the ceiling, 2 a.m., midnight, what question keeps you awake at night?
Like a work question or like anything question?
Anything.
Anything. Um, yeah, probably less a question lately. But back to that kind of tendency to fixate has been like waiting to hear like from God. Like, okay, I think I know what you want me to do. You get into that where you're like searching. You're like, is this a sign? Is this the sign? Is this the right path? Like, am I being rewarded for these behaviors for a reason, or is this a trap? Or so it's really just I would say it's just reflecting on like, is this actually what I'm supposed to be doing? Was my day really the best use of my day? How can I go into tomorrow more open to, the Holy Spirit and wherever it might pull or push me?
I love that. I love that because I genuinely believe no one has this figured out. No one has it.
No.
Like they'll put on a mask, they'll fake it. Oh, whatever. Even I know some people run massive companies, and they're like, I get imposter syndrome. I don't know what I'm like. They at least the ones who are real about it. Some people might not say that
Yeah, yeah,
publicly, but it's like we're kind of just grown up kids. Like I still feel that way
yeah,
at least. Like so
dude,
I don't know.
totally.
Yeah.
It makes sense. It's like the same learning loop. It's like when you're a kid, you have no money and you're getting, you're playing with no money, making very little money, and then you just add zeros to it, but it's still, will this work? And I mean, it in the marketing game. It's like you're just playing with tens of thousands of dollars in ad spend now instead of hundreds of dollars.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
But when it pays off, it's in scale.
And everything changes too in the marketing game.
Yeah,
It's always changing. Algorithms, ad
nothing's for
accounts,
sure.
XYZ.
Yeah,
It's like some skills are static, like sales, where it's like once you learn sales, you're really good at sales. Of course, you need to
yeah,
practice, but it's kind of the same thing. Marketing, it's
yeah,
like this new platform and this new ad. It's
yeah.
you're
Because you gotta
literally
play other people's, you gotta play with other people's rules.
you're not 1000%. I like to ask everyone this question, but to kind of round things off, what is the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Hmm. Best piece of advice. Man, I don't even know how to pick one piece of advice. Um, I'll
We got
throw it
time.
back though, because it's probably the cornerstone of every other really good piece of advice actually working. And it's from that first book that Joe gave me. It's, nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. Big one.
Damn, that's
Because
deep. That's a
yeah,
bar.
it's
Nobody.
all credit to John Maxwell there, but yeah, it's nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. And I think even in his books, he gets it from someone else. But dude, it's a zinger.
Dang. Yeah, it goes back to that be interested, not interesting
Yeah,
kind of.
yeah. Like
That's
two
great.
ears, one mouth,
Yeah, yeah.
all
No,
that.
100%. I love it.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much. Where can people find you? I know Dobson Ranch, if you're here locally, you have to go play. You have to go check out the
Yeah.
range. It's amazing. and you've been nothing
Yeah,
but
for
gracious
sure.
to me for everything. So I appreciate that. I connected with Andrew when I sent him a cold email out of the blue, and
Yeah.
he
Yeah,
responded.
I love those
He
ones.
responded. So it was very kind. I was probably the last thing on his to-do list or priorities, but he got back. So I appreciate it. But
No.
where can everyone find you at? Socials, everything.
Yeah, me, Instagram is Drew at the ranch. The golf courses, ones to look out for, Dobson Ranch Golf on Instagram, Palm Beach National. We're going out there next weekend, at least the time we're filming this, to go do a grand opening for their new clubhouse, in range, all that stuff. It's going to be awesome. Sierra Vista Golf Center, that's the one we have in Southern Arizona. So if you want to check out what we're doing, different markets, different fields, those are the three probably biggest course projects we got. But yeah, other than that, man, Drew at the ranch on Instagram. I'm thinking kicking around an idea of a LinkedIn page here pretty soon. So we'll see if we make that happen.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's time to put my big boy pants on. Uh,
This is what,
yeah,
running a golf course taught me this about B2B sales.
pretty much. We'll figure out a way.
I love it.
But dude, as always, Tyler, it's been awesome, man. I can't say how thankful I am for the cold email, because even just getting to know you, see the things you've helped us with, some media stuff, being a model and bringing some friends and going and filming, and to sit here and kind of have a be able to see through the window of all the stuff you've been doing too with Outlaws Golf, pausing it, doing Pluto Labs, getting served your Las Vegas ads now from Arizona is pretty funny. I think it's just because I engage so much with you, but dude, it's awesome.
I apologize on that one. I'll fix the targeting. Thank you
Dude,
so much.
I love them. Yeah, dude.
Appreciate it again. Well, thank you
All right,
again. We'll
man.
talk
Yep,
soon.
for sure. Till next time.